I'm so glad Henry had this elevator seat installed just for me.
Come on, Big Henry, it's your big day. Let's get you to Angels Nook for your makeover.
I doubt my engine will turn over. I'm not in the mood for a ball.
Don't be such a grump. There's nothing like the smell of fresh paint and cinnamon in the morning.
More like a junkyard funeral if I can't start.
Try again. We need to get going. Woohoo! Here we go!
I've got two relatively quick projects that I want to work on today. One is this truck, which really has a cute design to it. I like the lines to it. The lines to it are authentic for the time period of the truck. It does look like a farm truck, but to make this quickly assembled by the manufacturer, they put a bunch of rivets in here that would not have been there. There's rivets here in the bed of the truck that I want to camouflage. And they did a really, really poor job painting this. They oversprayed all over the place with it. So it cheapens the look of this little truck. They tried to age the front end of it here, but instead it just looks like a bad paint job. So what I want to do is take this to the color tone of the client that I'm doing this for, what they want. I'm going to personalize it for them. And I'm also going to make all of this look more authentic and hide these rivets as much as possible. This little truck I'm going to be doing for myself. It is also pretty authentic to a late 1930s, 1940s truck, but again, they've done a really bad fast paint job on it. They've smeared silver out on the tires. They've got big runs here that I want to clean up because I want this piece to look like a nice decorative piece and harken back to when these were really well loved and used for many years by workmen, by just men and women in general driving them, for farm trucks, for delivery trucks, for just the vehicle that they had. So that's what this is going to be doing today, and we're going to start the steps on it. The first thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be applying Monarchy, which is a primary red, over the green. And there's something really cool that can happen when you see how colors affect each other when they're in proximity. I'm not going to do a solid coat of paint on this. What I'm going to do is get a little bit of paint on my brush and I'm going to pull it across. I don't care that there are some brush strokes that are going to show in it. I'm going to smooth those, but what I want is to get a red that is a very aged looking red, and I'm paying attention to what direction I am going with this to get the look that I want. I don't want to just smear across it. I want good, clean strokes. And you just kind of experiment with it, with how much you're putting on, until you get the look that you want. You don't want a lot of paint on your brush because then you can't do the blending that I'm doing. And the highs and lows also with this cause this to look like the paint has just slowly broken down over time, which is what I want. And when I go back to blend it, my brush is going very lightly on it. I'm only dipping the very tips of the brush. And you can see that's got definite highs and lows. As though this has been weathered, it's been sitting out in the rain and the wind. It's not been housed in a garage. The next piece I'm going to do is the hood. You kind of have to think about, actually I'll do around the windshield. You kind of have to think about where you're going to go, both for how you're going to hold on to something and the direction that you want the brush strokes to go. These that are on the sides, I want to draw the eye up and down, so that's why I am applying the paint vertically. Underneath here, where it would have been the windshield wiper area, I will go horizontally. I'm not doing any pouncing or stippling like you normally would with HTP, because that is not the look I'm going for. I'm not going for a perfect finish. I'm going for an aged look. But I want the durability of this paint. I'm going to re-silver parts of this, but I do not want bumps of dried paint on it. So I'm using the paper towel to get that back off where my brush hit it. Had to go over that just a little bit in order to get the red down into the underneath of that band where I needed it. But as it dries, you can see I'm getting more of that aged finish to it, which is exactly what I want for this piece. I'm using a good art brush. This is not a craft brush, because it will give me the control I need with this. Craft brush will not stay in place to let you get into tight places. And this shows me that it did not get down into there. By having it at this angle, I can see that. You get a feel for how hard your brush needs to touch the surface, and if it's lifting the paint completely back off, you need to get more paint. Try to get this red off here without getting down into the groove. And that's smooth, so that won't give me trouble when I need to put the silver on it. Let that dry just a little bit and go back over it in a minute because it's wanting to lift too much on me. I want to smooth it evenly while it's still wet. Which is exactly what I'll do to this side of the hood. But I'm going to show you a door, and then I'm going to finish painting the green parts of this truck off camera. This needs to be fixed right here before I stop. On the back part of the truck, I will go vertically. Horizontally there's first, so I can get into those crevices. A little bit of the red got into the wood, but I just rubbed it in so that it's like it's an old stain on it. Because trying to get that off of in there would take the paint right back off the side of this. I'm going to re-silver the handles, so it's okay that I'm getting the red in here. That's one of the things you need, that you have to think about as you're planning painting something like this, is what do you need to paint first so that you don't mess up what you've already painted earlier. I don't want to leave it blobbed like that. I want to pull from both sides. The light touches of the brush to smooth those out. On this part will stay black. This has green splotched all over it. The only thing that's going to go red is this tank, and I will follow the direction of it to get whatever way gives me the smoothest finish on it. And it may get a darker finish on it with a little bit more coverage than the rest of the truck. But that's what's going to be done with the rest of the red on this. And then I'm going to come back and start layering some other colors with this. The red has now dried, and in the close-ups you can see it changes. As it dries, it gets an even more aged look to it. So what it looked like when it was wet and what it looks like now are different. But now it's exactly the look that I wanted. And having done this technique before, I knew I could get this. But you can do trial and error yourself on things. I mean, the worst that could happen is you have to put another coat of paint on, or you have to sand a little bit. The world won't end. So this part is taken care of until I get back to the point that I do the silver, but I don't want to do that until after I've done all the paints. So what I'm going to be starting on now is this wood. And the first thing I'm going to do to warm it and darken it is to add some vintage brown antiquing gel. And the reason I have saran wrap over the top of this is it keeps my jars from gluing shut. And it also, that one was put on upside down when I did it in a hurry the other day. It also helps to add a better seal in it. But when you're putting a stain on, and that's what I'm letting the gel act as today, is a stain on this that will dry quickly because it's water-based, and this is really dry wood. There's no finish over this really at all. They just put a little bit of color on it, and that was it. You want to follow the direction of the grain lines in the wood. You don't want to go crisscross on it. So the first thing I'm going to do is the inside, the bed, and then all of the outside. This is so very dry. But it's definitely warming that wood up. You want to be careful in spots like this that you're not creating a lot of line on the base, the bed of the truck. I will finish this off camera, but you can see the areas I'm going. All the inside first, anything that's really awkward to get to, and then do the easy parts here because that's easy to just grab a wheel, rotate it, and get to where you need it to be. The antiquing gel has dramatically improved the look of this wood, but now the problem is it looks a little too new, and I knew that was going to happen. It looks like it's just been done. But one of the things you can see is the rivets are starting to hide. The ones in here are more hidden. But now to give this a dusty look so that it looks like it's had some wear and tear on it, it's distressed in areas, I'm going to use some of the weathered wood, and since I've got some from the lid here, I'm going to use that before I start dipping into the jar. And I'm pouncing so that I can get a dry brush on this because I don't want to coat this fully like I did with the brown. What I want to do is hit these edges. You can see it's not a full coat at all. It's just softening this and giving it some age so it doesn't look like it was brand new done. Pretty much just have to kind of think about where would wood get damage like that. Use pictures if you need to. I'm also going to put a little bit of driftwood over this to bring back some of a more raw wood look to it. But the layering of the colors is what will age this out. I don't want to do any of the outside until I get everything on the inside done so that I have places I can grip. Again, I'm not doing an even coat on this. I don't want that. I want wear and tear in here. I want this to be a truck that's still in use. Then always double check if there's any place that you see that needs to have more done to it. That's all the gray that I want. It could be left like this. I am going to add a little bit of sea drift to it, just to lighten up a few places on it. And this, you can see, is a warm sandy beige. It's really pretty. The same thing with it, only I will go a lot lighter with it. When I get out of the shadows, it'll be easier to see. You can see I'm really hitting those edges because that's where a lot of the damage would occur over time. It would dry out on top. Okay. The wood looks good. It's got a nice aged look to it. The next things that have to be done are, I still have to do some things, some touch up on part of this. the wheel wells, the wheels, the actual wheels to the truck, they painted green. No truck in this time period had painted wheels, wheel rims to match, unless you did it at home yourself. They were all black on farm trucks. So that's the next piece I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna do that with just some of my art paint. I could do it with Iron Gate, but I don't. It should do it in one coat. Because these are, yes, I'm being a little sloppy here, because I know in just a second I can wipe the excess off. One wheel done. I'm holding my finger behind it, keep it from spinning on me. Yes, that's going to look a lot better. And looking under here, I can see that instead of leaving this black, they just spray painted a lot of green, so we're going to fix that. Back of the mud flaps too. I have a plan for them, but I don't want any green showing. that all needs to dry before I can work on the silver and work on the final touches to this. This is now dried enough that I can grab the underneath without, one, damaging it, but two, getting paint all over me. So what I'm going to be using now is a product called Liquid Leaf. It's silver. It's a true silver. It's oil-based. It is definitely got odor to it, but it gives a good shine and a true silver. I've used it for a lot of years. And this may take 2 coats to get this on here. I also needed it dry enough that I could shift my hand and rest it on parts of this so that I could keep my hand steady.
On top.
I'm not going to coat all of the silver on this because I like the aging, but I did not like the sprays of green paint all over it. It was pretty ridiculous. I'm twisting my brush as I get paint off of it coming off the edge so that I've got a really good fine tip on it. I need to paint this, but I need to be able to get a hold of this. So anything where I might bump into it is going to be painted last. When you're doing detail work, always find some place to brace your hand or a finger so that you can control where your brush is going. In this case, I'm bracing my arm on the edge of the table. Alrighty. Off camera, I'm going to fix the chrome on the little white truck, but you can see the process and what you do. Off camera, all of the chrome was finished. Any touch-ups of the black, the underneath was painted black to cover that excess green. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the color Tapestry to throw some mud on this truck. A farm truck, your wheels are very rarely ever pristine, or a delivery truck. So these are going to get some mud thrown on it, but you have to think about, usually mud doesn't get all over it. It gets where you step, it gets splashed up on anything that's underneath, it gets splashed onto the tires, so it would be splashed up here under the tire well. So that's what I'm thinking about, and the direction of where the wheels would throw it as well when I do it, or feet stepping onto the side runners, the side boards, the running boards, I'll get it right in a minute, that they would also get mud on them. So that's what I'm going to do with this step, is to do a little bit of that to both trucks. This little truck, I put all of the chrome on it, and I added black on it. In the time period of this style truck, they often were two-tone, and I chose, because of what else we have in our home, that this was going to be a black and white truck. And often they were more of a cream color than that white is. But we'll see where that little guy goes to. Doesn't take much, so I tap most of it off. And you want to leave handholds for yourself. These tires are very movable, so I need to hold it and I've added now mud around the rim on here onto the tire. I'm going to throw a little bit of mud up onto this canister here, and some mud thrown up into the underneath here. And you want the very top, if you put anything in there, to be long sprays, not solid color. And I will do the same thing to these tires. This is a double tire. A little bit harder to hold on to. Repeat the process on the other side. Get some on the back of the rims. Some mud on. Step up plate here. And a little bit splashed up onto here. Down on the bottom of this. Run out of what I put out there, so I got more to go in here. A little bit splashed up on these. There we go. Think about any place that's easy to see on these. Where might there have been some mud thrown on it? Again, if you need to, look it up. Look up pictures to help guide you. This is going to dry for a little bit, and then I'm going to show you how to apply rust to these. Thank you. It's ready to add the rust, and I really wish I could remember the lady's name who gave me this tip, because it's absolutely brilliant. You apply a little bit of glue wherever you want the rust to be, and then you sprinkle on powdered cinnamon. It embeds into the glue, but it leaves a powdery surface. And other things I've done it on, as long as you're gently dusting it, it stays in place beautifully, but it adds the finishing touches to this. And there's a couple of ways to deal with it. I'm going to use the Tight Bond Quick and Thick because it dries really quickly and it doesn't tend to run all over the place. I'm going to be working with both toothpicks and brushes, depending on what I'm doing with this, but it's really a neat addition to a piece and makes it look really different. And any of the excess can't work and talk at the same time today. Any of the excess cinnamon will just dust off. And you need to just, with this step too, you need to think about, where do you see rust on different things? Where does it wear through the metal? Tap it with your finger, embed it more. You can also just use your finger to tap it directly into the glue. And in this case, Titebond dries so fast that I need to not add that all at the same time. Just add little bits, work on it. It's pretty slick. So I'm going to just be working my way around this, figuring out where I want the rust to be, and adding the cinnamon to those areas. I'm going to water the glue down just a little bit of it on a brush so I can hit some spots on this front. And you can see by brushing it on, I got a dusting of the rust on there. You can see that I'm rubbing pretty hard. My fingers, you can hear the scraping. And it's not coming off, but it's really a cool, dusty, rusty effect on here. And I need to do similar to this little truck. it's so small, I need to use a much smaller brush. By rubbing it, you can control how heavy it is, and you can make it look more like the eat-outness that rust creates. I'm looking to create balance without just creating rust everywhere on this. And heavier and lighter spots. He's already got an imperfection there. It might as well be rust. I'm happy with them. Everybody has different likes and dislikes with decor. These pieces were bought as decor items, but they were so haphazardly put together that I felt like they really needed to be aged more, as though they would look like something that had been used for many years on an actual farm, or that these had been toys that were used and had been stored and brought out, but lovingly used for many, many years. Because any truck, anything that you use on a farm on a daily basis, any hard used work truck develops dents, dings, changes. This paint that is on the top here, when it was first going on, looked like the bright primary red that it was. But because of that green paint that's underneath, and because I purposely did not put on a full coat of paint, you can see how the green, the spaces where the green is coming through completely, is influencing the red to tone it down to a much older look and more like the color that old trucks were. The black that I added onto this is because many times these trucks were two-tone, and it fits what goes in our home. I purposely looked for places to add the rust, like on the running boards, on the fenders, any place that would get dinged, that would get hit, that would over time diminish the finish and cause it to start to deteriorate. And so you can see that even in the little white truck, inside its bed, it has rust. The wood of this bigger truck did not lend itself to that. And the close-ups will show you just how powdery the magic of that cinnamon is on these. So this is the look that my client was looking for too. So this one will be going to its new home, and this one will be joining the rest of our collection. Ready?
Okay. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! I cannot believe that! Is this the one you did?
This one's yours.
Oh my goodness. Okay, you outdid you. Look at that!
There you go. Check your flaps.
Wow! Oh my gosh! I love it! That is the most thoughtful, detailed thing I've ever seen. You guys are the best. Wow!
Hennery, in your rush to show off, did you forget to gas up?
Really, we're out of gas?
Yes, unfortunately. Henry is drier than the Mojave Desert.
Hey boys, Big Henry, did you run out of gas again?
Very nice. Don't you remember? You forgot gas too when you got your Angels Nook makeover.
I was just hassling you, Henry. I got gas in the back.